All right, everyone, welcome back to the No Gear Required podcast. To me, today I have a special guest because I hear so much about his family history, and he made on his own. His dad is a very famous person, but now he is very famous too. Welcome to our podcast, Sean Stone. Man, thank you for being here.
Yeah,
It's
thank
such a privilege for us to have you on board. Lots to talking about, a lot of amazing things happening, and let's find out.
Man, I've known your brother for 12 years probably. We did two movies together.
Wow.
He did this little movie called the Paranormal Activity Security Squad, which was like not even distributed. It was like very, very low budget. But then we did The Fist and the Golden Fleece, and he had a cameo. It's so funny because we had him playing a Chinese waiter, and I beat him up with a chair and stuff. And I hit him with a chair, and he just stands there because he's a rock, right?
That's funny.
Oh man,
God.
I have to watch that. I haven't seen that
Oh,
one.
you're gonna laugh. That one is. We have Michael Dudikoff and Don the Dragon Wilson, Cynthia Rothrock, Timok from Last Dragon. Amazing
You,
cat.
you
Phil
literally
Goldberg.
brought the old school martial artists right there, man.
Everybody was in this movie.
Where do you get it? Is it streaming or?
It's on Amazon.
Oh,
Prime.
okay.
Yeah, and I think it's on Tubi. Tubi's got
Yes,
a lot
yeah.
of that kind of the more indie content, right? A lot of the stuff that people nowadays it's too much. We have so much content. You get buried.
Yes,
You try to
yes.
find something, and unless you know what you're looking for, you can really get lost. It's like going to Blockbuster when Blockbuster's a 10,000 square foot Blockbuster. Right? You don't even what section am I don't remember what I started looking for when I started out opening Netflix.
Oh my
crazy,
goodness!
right?
Sometimes I get wonder what I'm gonna watch, and I spend maybe half an hour just trying to. I said, man, I'm tired. I think I'm going to sleep now.
Yeah.
Just trying surfing all over, and
I just call it watching trailers. Like in Lost Boys, the old man made a joke. He said, if I read the TV guide, I don't need the TV. Now I feel like you watch a trailer, you don't need to watch the movie. Okay, I got it. The trailer told me everything. Nice story. Move on.
Pretty
let's
much.
go to the next one. Sean, let me start with an actor, director, film producer. Tell me, how is it for you growing up in that environment? Because were you on the set sometimes when your dad was filming? Were you involved with helping him, or you're doing your part? And how is it, man? Because I'm such a curiosity because I grew up watching all these movies and you were there.
Yeah. Well, I was there. I was in some of them, like Wall Street, The Doors, JFK, Natural Born Killers. There were small roles, but it was still fun to be immersed in especially like JFK, for example, which is set in 1960s, and you've got like the period suits and the clothing, and you're in this imaginary world, right? It's obviously, it's based on true stories, but it's like you're in a play world where you get to walk onto the set or the doors, and it's like the plane. We're in the Universal Studios back lot, and there's like fake plane, and we're getting in the plane and shooting in the plane. It's fun. It's like a kid's. It's basically when you're a kid. I was playing with my toys, my GI Joes and stuff, right? And it's like, okay, that's what the kids do, and then the grown-ups, they get to play with the bigger toys. So that's how I saw it, and I got to travel a lot, all over the world, from Thailand and the Philippines to New York, Dallas. We really we got around and got to see the behind the scenes, the work, the fact that people, I think now they understand more, because there's so many reality shows and things like this, but there's a lot of work, as that goes into a movie, thousands of people, extras and actors and crew, and just the executives and the producers. I mean, it's just so many different people are involved at different levels. And then, you get to the place of the red carpet, and that's where everyone thinks about the glamour and the sex appeal and the beauty. But it's like, really, I saw the work, right?
Man, that's just a tiny little piece.
That's it.
And is there any, in the movies that you participated, if your daddy were there, is doing anything in particular that keeps in your memory that unforgettable to you? I'm sure you have many of.
So many. I mean, it was to me, it was like it was a certain arc in a way, like starting from being a little kid on these sets, kind of like just being whatever Michael Douglas's son in Wall Street, just not really knowing what's going on, just say this line. To in Alexandria, I got to actually go and shoot the behind the scenes, and that was a great experience because then I was like 18 to 19 years old, and just spending every day with my dad recording, like early digital phase, the little handheld camera, just like documenting, like, trying to show people with the different documentaries I made. I made 4 documentaries for the Warner Brothers, because back in the time, it was behind the scenes was a big deal on the DVDs, right? So it was like special features. So the Warner Brothers special feature, and then there was a feature length documentary I made called Fight Against Time, which is actually on YouTube now, and that tells a lot of the story about what a director goes through in terms of everything, the writing, the vision, the visualization, the art direction, staging, the interface with the actors, and then it got into some of the personal side of my experience with my father and like some of the father son dynamic, and I think it's a very like good glimpse into some of the the hard parts about growing up around this lifestyle, right? Where your father basically has a big public persona and is oftentimes taken away from his being a real father that can be home,
Be every
give
day
the
there.
attention and give the attention and love to the family. He's like oftentimes was focused on his work and his career. So that comes up in the story, and it was nice that we got to work it out through. In a way, we had to work it out and kind of express it.
It's unbelievable. It's no better kind of a university for somebody to learn how to be there as a school.
Yeah.
It's incredible, the moment and how you see it. Is that, how is it to work in your mind for you to, I want to do this project? How that comes up to you as an interest? Because I know it's time to time we have now a lot of politics going on right now.
Yep.
But even in the past, what on you is more attractive to you to produce a movie or to direct a movie? What kind of story would be something at your flavor?
Yeah.
I like this type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, in many ways, I think I am like my father in the sense my father was never somebody that was just a mercenary. And you see in Hollywood, there's a lot of, it's a business, right? But there are those that really are kind of, you could say amoral. They don't really have a morality when it comes to like making movies. There are some that do. There are some people that are more like ethical or moral, and they want to tell the right message. But a lot of people in the business are just, they're in it to make money. They don't really, they take the paycheck. They don't really think about the consequence, the consciousness of what they're putting into the art, And so my dad, I think, was one of those filmmakers that was very much about putting his philosophy.
He
his
would know
imprint.
the outcome of the movie, the impact that will have in people.
Yeah, I mean, whether you never fully know the impact, but you can at least have an intention. And I think he was, very much what people call like a political filmmaker, very, he tells stories that relate to the socio-political landscape of his time period, right? Especially the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, right? That was like very much what he was reflecting. And I think that gave me a certain ethos when I approach things. So for me, it's like when I never really, in many ways, I think he didn't feel like he fully fit into Hollywood because he's more of an independent, he comes from that background. He's, schooled in NYU in the early 70s, Scorsese was one of his teachers. Like he's more of like an outsider to Hollywood in a way. And I think he didn't quite fully fit into because Hollywood is a little bit like that. It's like a high school, right? Everyone who's winning the popularity contest. Everyone's, bullshitting each other, lying to each other, being sweet talking, but then they blacklist you or stab you in the back. I mean, that's, it's just very fake, right? Everyone knows that now. It's so
now it's out there.
It's out there. It's being
everybody
exposed,
can see it.
and I think, so I think people like my father had a harder time with that because he didn't necessarily want to compromise to do projects that that didn't really resonate with
That go
what he
against
was, what he was trying to, the message he was trying to convey, right? He's more of an anti-establishment guy, right? His stories are about, the dangers of, you name it, whether it's Wall Street, whether it's political assassination and the deep
Oh,
state.
it's very,
right?
it's very kind of a delicate situation.
Yeah.
And how is it like JFK? Because it's, especially a lot of things are coming out right now that people,
I always wondered that. Did he get a lot of pushback? Like
On
just-
JFK?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember. I mean, it was a huge pushback because the film was attacked by the media, the gatekeepers, the media establishment. Even before it came out, they were already gunning for the film, basically saying this was Oliver Stone's fantasy. He's a conspiracy theorist, right? All that kind of language that, that now they apply to everybody. But, back then it was hard because he was at the forefront of being a successful filmmaker who was questioning narratives, especially something like the JFK assassination. And so there was a huge amount of pushback. I mean, I learned it, at 7 years old, seeing that, from 7 years old on, seeing how the media manipulates, how they lie, how they paint, how they create narratives, right? How they caricature, they ad hominem, they attack, the person and they ignore the point, it's like I saw it firsthand, right?
Yeah.
yeah, I guess if you say a lie too many times, for a lot of people, it becomes the truth.
Oh, of course. I mean, that's the nature of belief systems, right? A lot of people create belief systems. Even the problem is, even when we're young, we get lied to, and unless we challenge our beliefs, the ones that we've accepted when we're kids, whatever, from school on, whether it's from school, whether it's from religion, whether it's from your parents, there's so many things that we just accept because it's part of our belief system, and we have to challenge it, consistently. It's like,
Oh, yeah,
me,
we should always have questions.
yeah,
Why?
we have to grow that way. And so I've always grew up with that, hating conformity, right? I couldn't stand conformity, and yet that's really what happens is you go to school and they want you to conform, and then you basically start to put that into your mind, and the next thing you know, you go into the corporate structure or whatever it is, so you don't question,
Become like a robot.
Yeah, I mean that's where you end up with this kind of mentality. Don't question the media, don't question the science, don't question you name it, the narrative, the agenda, the war. Support it, support the war, support this. It's like it becomes part of our mindset unless you question and say, wait, no, I don't have to support what you tell me to support. And the media is a big problem because you talk about spreading a lie over and over. That's what media does. They repeat narratives over and over, and then the news cycle went from 3 hours at nighttime to 24 hours.
It's all day, yeah, 24 hours a day. No matter where you turn in the station, it's repeating the same thing.
Yeah,
it's almost the same script everywhere.
And sometimes they showed you there's like memes and stuff where they show you there are literal scripts that get sent around, but
specific words that stays in your mind.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's a new word.
Yeah.
Then they keep repeating that.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
Yeah.
How's your timing now in a way of, are you doing any project right now? Anything that you've done in the past that is something that you really related to? How's it working right now for you? What do you have in mind? We want to know what's in mind right now.
We're about to start on a few projects that are going to be big and explosive, but I don't want to talk about it yet because it's better to wait till it's done.
Yeah.
Yes.
We get that.
But we've, in the past, I mean, to answer your question before about like what draws me, it's every project is got to connect to something that I want to express, whether it's The Fist and the Golden Fleece, which is a send-up comedy to the martial arts movies that I grew up with, right, in the 70s and 80s, and the action hero cinema that's we were playing with. We're like, yeah, we need action heroes again, right? So we made that. My first film was called Greystone Park, and that was based on real experiences that I was having. We were ghost hunting in these abandoned mental hospitals and and really facing some very dark, heavy energy. So I was like, let's make that into a movie. And and I've done a bunch of documentaries and short films, but the most recent docuseries that we put out was called Best Kept Secret. And it's about, it's on Vimeo, and it's basically about how I would call it the dark elite use mind control, use manipulation of the masses, whether it's economic, whether it's psychological, whether it's human trafficking. there's all these different ways, mechanisms of basically trying to control the human being as they move towards the transhuman agenda, right? Which is the transformation of the human into more of a robot, you could say, right?
Yes.
Manipulation, like we do genetic modification of the food, the same genetic modification of the human, and the merging of the human with machinery, technology, all these things. That's kind of one of the goals, let's say.
Isn't that
yeah.
incredible in a way? Because I remember as a kid, I used to watch a cartoon called The Jetsons.
Mm.
Then you have cell phones, spaceships, a robot made, all this.
Yeah.
But there was a cartoon.
We haven't got the robot. We haven't got the robot made yet, but
We have everything else.
we got everything else.
But I see those robots is on the way.
What about Star
'Cause-
Trek? Star Trek's pretty accurate. I think Star Trek could predict our future in a positive way. Actually, the Star Trek universe is pretty cool, right? But the thing that concerned me with the transhuman thing is, see, I don't mind the technology being outside of us. It's when it starts to become part of the human physiology, right? When we start to actually change the DNA, when you start to do things that become irreversible, right? That's where I think I warn people to be
in
careful.
a way, with and without control.
Yeah.
Because
Well, there's no control. There's no such
Exactly.
thing as control in our reality, right? I mean, that's the point.
Yeah.
That's part of the message of the movie. It's like, of the series is like, listen, the heart is the power that we all have to be individuals, to overcome any belief in control, because control is like, it's psychopathic. You can, or I should say, it can evolve into psychopathy. You can try to control your environment, you can try to control things, but as we know, you'll never control it, right? It's beyond any of our power. But a lot of these people, psychologically, when I say dark elite, they're like satanic. They believe only in the material realm. So some of them believe in, dark spirit, dark energy, demons, things like this, and they do contracts. But there's also the materialists, who I consider satanic, who don't believe in any spirituality, don't believe there's anything beyond the physical realm. So they try to control the physical realm. They think they can control it because there's no higher power that's gonna object to that, let's say, or conflict with that. And I think this is a big mistake when you think that you can control the physical realm.
And yeah, we see that playing out right now, like on every day. I mean, let's see. I believe that things will change for better for humanity. That's what I believe, and that's what I do. What I do. I think as a martial artist, we're trying to bring people to as a normal person, as you mentioned, with heart, with emotions, with physical pain, no pain, and just feel human. To get out of the electronics, no cell phones, no nothing. You want to talk to somebody, look at them at their eyes, talk to them.
Yeah.
Just don't send a text.
Yeah.
It's a lot more challenge for people today is to look in their face and say something. It's a lot easier just to text and leave a message and
tweet. I mean, how many people they're so tough, guys, on Twitter.
a bunch.
I like it. Jean-Jacques has said it many times. He's like, jiu-jitsu doesn't make you super; it makes you normal. So and you've trained. Obviously, you mentioned Hegan.
I never trained jiu-jitsu.
Not yet.
Not yet. Exactly. No, I like training, but like just physical training. Whether it's exercise, running, high intensity interval training, weights, yoga. It's like I believe in balance, and martial arts are a great discipline as well, right? Because the whole point is bringing, it's connecting to your body. It's feeling strong in your body, and at the same time knowing knowing that you're limited at the same time, right? We have to feel strong at the same time. We have to recognize, hey, we have weaknesses, and that's nature, and that's okay. Like part of, to your point about like being human, it's like part of the natural order is that everything in nature, there's a consequence. And it's the same, whether you work out, you work with the body, or you deal with natural progression of cycles of growing food, whatever it is. Like that there's a consequence in nature. A lot of people have kind of lost sight of the consequence because we're in a world that's so mental in some ways that we don't realize that there's still processes that are at work. There's still nature that's at work. And I always believe this, like nature is going to win. No matter what you can try to outsmart, outthink, how clever, how controlling. That's going back to like the idea of control. It's like, yeah, you can try to fool that. You can try to control others, but you'll never control nature and fool nature.
It's like in a way, in a reality, as a human being, we're made as survivors. We're made to survive. And if you live in a jungle, you have to survive. You're going to have to hunt to eat.
Yeah.
You have to make yourself warm. I mean, we're survivors. And to become successful is something that is outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's not everybody's successful. Very few in their field, because everybody in that survival mode.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they want to keep us,
Yeah.
just as surviving.
Yeah.
Okay, I will give you a salary. You don't have to work much.
Yeah.
Then you just survive.
They want us numb. It's like a numb state. That's part of what a lot of the mind control that goes on, whether it's from television or even just the nature of fluorescent lights and like cubes,
Yes,
right?
I mean,
being in cubicles and being away from nature, being away from the grass, being away from the trees and the fresh air.
That was
and the
my
animals.
next question to you, because I saw a lot of things on your Instagram, and I believe so much myself on that. We're made to be near nature. We need to see the horizon. We need to be outside in the sun. We need to walk without shoes. And less people are actually doing that.
Right.
I have some people come on the seminars and it's like, man, sometimes I feel depressed. I feel no energy. I say, man, stop your car anywhere near any tree you see on the street. Hug the tree.
That's it.
And you see the difference. Like what? Hug the tree.
Yeah.
You see energy come from earth.
Yeah.
And that's what you need.
Yeah.
I'll promise you, you hug the tree, you stay there, you're not going to be depressed anymore.
Yeah.
But people are moving away from nature, and we come from nature.
Yeah.
And I saw that you've been around in so many beautiful places, by the way. See on the beach, I see on so many around the world.
Yeah.
Do you feel as a person, because I can tell you like the energy, you like that type of environment.
Yeah.
Can you tell if you feel any difference in some of the places you be in terms of energy?
Every place, I mean, as you know, every place is going to have a different energy. And, even like in Los Angeles, I would say, like, I grew up on the West Side, and I always felt like when I went to the East Side, to like Hollywood in this area, the energy was like down, right? Much lower, much more like
drain you out.
Darker energy, much like it feeds there. It's because there's a lot of ego, and it's like if everyone is just there, look at me, pay attention to me, it becomes it's really not a very healthy environment, right? And it's also more concrete. It's not as you want to be close to the ocean, or if you're in LA, be close to the ocean or to the mountains, or whatever, the trees, the parks. You want to be close to nature, as you said. And so going around the world, I always feel called to different places, and I can't. It's funny because people like will say like, "Hey, you should come here," or they'll invite me there, and I'm like, I just trust my intuition. You know what? You just said something. Yeah, I feel called to go there, and I know the universe will take me there, and then I'll visit and I'll connect to it. But it's you're talking about a planet that's so amazing. How can you compare? How do you everyone has a different thing. Some people like the desert. Some people like the mountains. Some people I like California because it has everything.
Man.
But California's been kind of crazy the last few years.
You think?
Talk about, nature. I mean, come on, California, they were like, put a mask on and stay inside, and, don't get sunlight, don't get fresh air. I mean, like, what is sick psychology?
I mean, you're not going to get better like that. Unfortunately, you're going to get worse.
Of course.
And how is it for you that, I think to me, traveling is one of the amazing things everyone should do in life, to see yourself outside the bubble. How is it for you being around the world and look back to where we are in our country? Because I love America.
Yeah.
I moved to America for a purpose. As a lot of people coming to America, is a land of opportunities for sure. If you do it the right way, for sure you're going to succeed. And from outside, you used to see as America is the window to the world.
Yeah.
Whatever you do here and you succeed here, you're going to succeed around the world.
Yeah.
How is it for you, born here, then have a chance to travel around, see other countries? Because a lot of people here, they never travel. They never been outside America.
Mm-hmm.
How is it for you from inside, go outside, from outside, look back inside?
Yeah. That was a big thing in my early years. I remember, like, by the time I was maybe like 9, 10, 11, 12, it was really a striking consciousness because, I came from a very privileged, background, even for America, right? It's, most people are not, you know, let's say an upper, the upper middle class or whatever, the upper class, and able to go to private schools and, have, nannies and really a nice life. And so I was able to grow up that way. And then my dad would take me to India and Tibet and, East Africa and, places that would really show the contrast, right? Where you're seeing people starving, you're seeing people dying in front of you, kids dying in the street. And that contrast was very striking in my consciousness. I remember really shifting away from a materialist attitude at that time and being very much having a spiritual awakening, I guess you could say, from that point, to recognize that it's not just about material, right? And that's just something that I think America has, fundamentally it's a balance. There are some people in America that are just really lost, but it's not as bad. I've been to places like China and I'm like, wow, the materialism is crazy here. You guys need some spirituality because you keep killing all the spiritual people, and they're persecuting spirituality, which is a big problem that they're going to face, because everyone needs spiritual life. And so, again, so from my perspective, it was America does have a decent amount of spiritual life, even though materialism at different points was a big, it's a focus, and it should be. I mean, material, you want to have a nice life, but you can't make that the priority at the expense of morality. So I think that's my perspective in terms of where America stands. We have things to learn from other cultures, but we've been doing pretty good over time. I mean, I have to say, I feel like America has done a good job of assimilating a lot of different, as we know, a lot of different cultures, a lot of different ideas, a lot of different practices. It's very, fundamentally, as we know, it's a very tolerant country as a whole. And that's why it kind of bothers me when people are like, "Oh, America's racist," and I'm like, "If you think America's racist, you haven't traveled the rest of the world."
They don't know what they're talking about. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
No.
Right.
And we had if you have a chance to listen to us to travel and see the world, you will appreciate America way, way more.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, exactly. Because again, it's there's so much beauty and there's so many different cultures and amazing things. But as far as anywhere else to live in the world, I'm I wouldn't know where else to live. I love traveling, but I don't resonate, with any other culture the same way.
I'm from Brazil. I go back to Brazil, and after a little while, I gotta go back home.
Mm-hmm.
My home is America,
Mm-hmm.
and it's interesting when you're talking about energy. Today, I'm living up in the mountains, and that's so funny because when I'm driving up, I feel the energy change completely.
Mm-hmm.
I was in. Don't get me wrong when I say that. I was in hell. I'm driving up to heaven.
Yeah.
It's a completely different. I can hear birds. I can see coyotes, and it's nature all my surround. It's a way for me to reset myself for another day.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. That's
and
the way.
It's amazing. And as you mentioned, California, I was driving yesterday on the Santa Monica Freeway. I look in front of me is snow.
Yeah.
I see the mountains in snow, and behind me is the beach. I was like, oh, what's happening here? The mountains are snow, and the sand here behind me. It's amazing.
Beautiful state. It is they're such a rich state, and yet they can't even fill the potholes. There's homeless everywhere. What a disaster.
Look,
I don't understand.
I never imagined, because I grew up in Brazil, and especially back in the early days, third world country. That's a reality that we face. You have such a minority of people with privilege, and I never, in my worst nightmare, imagine when I moved to U.S., see what I'm seeing today.
Mm-hmm.
That is unthinkable.
Mm-hmm.
I could not imagine drive and see homeless, tents on the street.
Yeah.
Not one, talking about hundreds.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about the richest country in the world.
Yeah, man. California, the richest state. Literally, this state is richer than most countries.
And I don't know what to say. I just something is not right.
You grew up here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I grew up in Hollywood, the 70s and 80s, and Valley, and it's like watching The Sims, the computer simulation. but the opposite. It's just, you drive down and it's like, what happened?
Yeah.
You see this deterioration and it just frustrates you because it's like, it never seems to get any better. It's just getting progressively worse. And you kind of lose faith in the system, You speak up and you vote and you do all this, but it's like it just sort of falls on deaf ears. It's very frustrating.
I lost faith in the system when I
A
was
long time ago.
15.
It's crazy.
Right?
Sometimes when you go to vote, it's like, all right, which one is the less worst that I can vote for?
I just
It's not
look
the
at
best. It's like, oh, that one is not going to be as bad as that one.
I don't just look at it like it's all rigged. So just, you got to put your energy, into waking up the consciousness, I think, because it takes more than, we need leadership and we need vision, right? But it's like people have to be able to follow it. And as people are waking up, it will also, how do you say, it will affect our reality. More people waking up, because that will then shift what's acceptable. And I think that's what's kind of been interesting the last few years. I'm like, this is the best revelation the last few years. It's like people are starting to wake up more and more, realizing, hey, wait a minute, is this really the way I want it? Do I want to have all this tax money being sent off, to these foreign wars and having a total open border and like all these things? It's like, maybe the system as it's designed is not the most effective and reflective of what we the people want. So how do we change the system?
Majority of people want.
Exactly. How do we change the system? And so that's going to be a collective experience. It's not just one, it's even when, whatever, like the president, it's like that person is limited. The president is very limited in terms of what they can do. So you change, we've got a new president, that's going to change something. No. You got to, the system people collectively waking up, saying, hey, enough is enough, no more. That's when you have the real revolution. And it's, it's an evolution.
And how can you would say, how are you on your making your movies, kind of trying to send messages, as you just mentioned, that you cannot say much until it gets done. It's one of the hopes that we have, to send those good messages to people.
That's what I believe in. I mean, I'm a big believer that, like there's a saying, like when the people are ready, the teacher appears, the master appears, right? It's both. Like you can't force messages down people's throats, right? You have to be in symbiosis, or it's like it's kind of like a synergy, right? Where you feel. And so, yeah, I mean, honestly, I think now people are more ready than ever to start receiving messages that reflect maybe a different perspective than they were told in the past. Like we're expanding the paradigm, right? We're expanding that Overton window, as RFK talked about. Like we're changing the narratives, and as a result, we can now tell stories that hopefully tell truth, or let's say like shift the knowledge and the narrative, that shift the narrative of history, that that raise consciousness, that hopefully brings some spirituality and some good energy to people. Because a lot of movies are very dark. A lot of movies in shows are like very like low vibration.
People go for 2 hours entertainment, they come out like horrible after the movie. Yeah. Instead of come out like, wow, I got some kind of knowledge or something that pumps me up for better. And as you mentioned the spiritual aspect, I don't believe in coincidence. I don't believe that you're here today by accident. I don't believe that how we connect for you to come here. Yeah. And I know a lot of good things will happen after, for sure, after this podcast we do. But for sure we have something that we're going to be doing together to get even in a higher level, for sure. I like that. It's no coincidence at all. For some reason, we have to connect here with each other. I'm just met Sean today in person, but we've been exchanging messages and
I didn't know that.
Through other people.
Oh, that's interesting.
And he came to my house. I wasn't there that day. I was traveling somewhere for a seminar. But I know we felt that connection is something that needs to happen for, I don't know the purpose yet, but we're going to find out for sure.
Yeah, I believe that.
So much in the energy aspect, because a lot of things that I saw on your Instagram, I myself also sees that way. A lot of similarity on the energy aspect.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to pass to my students, that bad news only lasts 24 hours. Tomorrow is a new day, and it depends how you see it. But I want to make sure that people feel confident on their own. If you believe in yourself that you can make it happen, I have no doubt you're going to make it happen. On the project that you're doing, are you having some brick walls to break, like to go through to make it happen?
You know, I'm a Capricorn, and I can't break through the brick walls. You know, that's the no matter how you know it's you know, it's God's timing, right? And that's what I've come to realize more than anything. You know, I did my first film in 2010, 2011. It took 2 years, 2.5 years to get it released. And, you know, it was a brutal process, and then it didn't really lead to more at that time. So I kept going with other things. I did conspiracy theory TV show with Jesse Ventura. I ended up doing a podcast called Buzzsaw. It led to me to doing a show for RT. I did some other documentaries and films in the meantime, but it's like, you got to kind of it's like judo, right? You got to kind of move with what's given to you. And so, yeah, my experience was like, there's no point in banging the brick walls or trying to
you do like jiu-jitsu, just go around.
It's easier to go around. Goats are like, listen, we're smart. We'll go over it. We'll go around. We'll go under. We're not going to try to break through. And yeah, that's just been my experience. It's like when there's that much resistance, you have to trust that there's a reason, you know, that it's just not meant for you at this time.
100%.
That's okay. You know, then it's like, that's part of the journey, because I believe a lot of our work as artists and creators is working on ourselves. So if we are just trying to force our way, then maybe we're not growing in the way that we need to be, right? We're just learning how to surrender, or, you know, to let go, right? Less ego.
And for you, you still living in California, or?
We moved to Florida actually in 21. So we took off after like 1 year in Santa Barbara during the lockdowns. We were in Santa Barbara, and then we just said enough of California for now. So we've been in Florida for the last couple of years, like hanging low, I guess you could say. You know, kind of just, again, it's like a retreat.
Yeah, no, I went over there a couple months ago, and it's incredible. It's beautiful. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I still love California.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Like, damn.
California is a beautiful state. I mean, you think about it, you got everything here. You got the Sierras in Yosemite. You've got the beaches and the desert. It's all here. It's just how it's being run.
Yeah.
You know, they're also, when they were trying to burn down Malibu and all these areas a few years ago.
Oh, my goodness,
with all those crazy fires that were...
I had a school in Malibu, and I had to close because of the fire. We had a place there, and after the fire, a lot of our members there, they lost their house, and trying to help as much as we could. They have members of our school that disappeared for 2 days, and they're trying to save the house, and there was something there like, man, is this hell already?
Yeah.
What's happening here?
Yeah, that's crazy. There's craziness for sure. But no, I'll probably spend more time here again. I love Cali. It's a great state.
Is there any of all the projects that you already did something that is your favorite? Something that said, nah, that's my baby here?
No, not yet. I mean, I think that, again, it's kind of like I was saying, you're working on yourself through the journey of
at that particular time made sense for you, that project.
Yeah, and it's like different explorations and you know, different kind of stories. You know, I talk about like the Best Kept Secret series, which is a very different kind of documentary than the documentary about my father called Fight Against Time, which I mentioned, which is very different from Century of War, which was about really like a lot of the things that Trump ran on, the deindustrialization of America, like the Rust Belt, how we're like sending our jobs abroad, how we're, you know, we're basically in a perpetual state of war, and we're not actually like building infrastructure and improving our energy and doing things that like can actually benefit America. So that came out in 2016, Century of War.
Man, you're way ahead. You're ready. What's happening right now? You're ready to 2016. Already warning people. Say, hey.
Well, I mean, a lot of people out there warning people. I'm just kind of
but
like
in a
at
way,
my own pace.
Yeah. But
like,
in a way, it's people's like, whoa, wait a minute.
Well, I wrote a book, and you know, my my thesis, my history thesis at college was called The New World Order. So I wrote a book called New World Order. And I think people finally, the last couple of years, started hearing that, and they started realizing, man, that was real. That wasn't a joke. Global government, that's what they were pushing.
Man, it's things that we still, a lot of things that I'm sure we'll be finding out. I think it's amazing thing also is to have so many other channels that we can watch and actually listen to something different than the everyday news. It's just repeating every day the same story, and now we're able to have different channels and that we can listen to and questioning.
Yeah.
And think about why they're saying this, and the reality is not what they're saying. Now the reality is this.
Yeah. And just how about like turning off the news and just living your life and seeing what shows up in your experience, right?
It's been 3 years last time I saw TV.
Yeah. I
3
started.
years. I just turned it on. I have watched movies every day. I go Amazon, Netflix, and some of the streaming, but news and TV.
Exactly.
Nah.
I was reading an article a while back about a very famous web designer, graphic designer, and he was talking about the dawn of the internet, when the internet was first introduced.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, and there was a gentleman, I cannot remember his name, but he kind of predicted where we are today. And in the article, he talked about this concept called media fasting, which I thought was really quite interesting because it's like part of our wellness culture now. You hear about people talking about fasting, and he's like, yeah, you need to literally shut it off. Not completely put your head in the sand, but sitting there watching 24/7.
It's a brainwash.
Yes. And we did the same thing. We got rid of our cable. We have it's funny. I think we have twice as much TV now with all the, Disney, Netflix, Amazon. Yeah. But quality is much better. And like food, you just kind of pick and choose what you like. And I really like that there's no, I feel in you like that there's no narrative. Like you can just, there's some really, really great content. And I love all the documentaries. I think those are amazing. So.
Yeah, no, it's media fasting makes sense because I notice it just when I'm like, I'll scroll through like TikTok or Twitter, and it's just there to like rile you up. And what do you do with that energy?
No, it drains you out. And sometimes you're on a mission a day for something, then you start look at your phone and you're not accomplish what you're in your mind. You're ready to get distracted.
Exactly.
And nobody reads anymore. Everybody just sees the title. Oh, move on, next picture, the next picture. Everybody's so used to not go deep and actually find out. And I noticed that most of the time the title of what you're about to read has nothing to do.
Well, that's why one of my most valuable assets is my library. I got so many books. I don't know where to put them, but they're my mom's house, and she's like, "You gotta, get a house with a big library." I said, "That's definitely my plan. To have a massive library because this is important. You don't know like books. You never know what you can have like a Library of Alexandria moment. Of people just kind of, you name it, like burning books again or whatever. Or forgetting about it, but when you actually have a collection, an archive, and then you can really go back and have these resources of, you name it, rare books, old books. It's across time. It's what a beautiful tool to have.
Yeah, definitely.
Anything that based on the books that you have, you read, you one day would like to make a movie out?
So many stories. I mean, a lot of my ideas, a lot of my projects. I mean, when I'm a writer too. So when I'm writing scripts and stuff over the years, I would always dive in to to immerse yourself, right? You have to like really dive into that. As I always say, like when you're writing, it's good to immerse yourself in whether it's the history, the socio-political consciousness, economics, like whatever it is, you want to kind of start to see that world. You want to start to breathe and feel like you're in that world to really write about it. So no, there's not one book I could talk about,
many.
but I do think again, like there's a lot that's coming. I think it's always timing, right? It's like now we're in a time when people are more look. I mean, I started on Buzzsaw in 2013 right after conspiracy theory. We were talking about a lot about the UFO and the alien stuff, and obviously I wasn't the first. I mean, this has been going on for decades, but like, here we are, and the military is like investigating it, and they're having whistleblowers talking about alien technology, and I'm like, yeah, it's great that we can now we've opened that discourse into a new way that wasn't there maybe even 10 years ago.
Yeah, the thing now is again is just the fact that we have so many other channels to listen to, and it's so rich in terms of knowing things that we're not supposed to know, and now we have a chance to actually know. I always thought about that, and now it's there.
Yeah, but isn't it interesting, like what you just said, what we're not supposed to know? It's like, this is a free country. What the heck? Where did this come from?
Yeah.
And like, where did this idea that you're not supposed to know something come from? The government doesn't have any power. We give the government the power in the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. Everything comes from God to the human, us. We're supposed to empower the government, and people have forgotten that. And they're all thinking, and it was the worst during COVID. People are like, well, the government has the right. No, they don't have the right to do that. We, the people, have all the rights. They only have the rights that we give them.
Yes.
Exactly.
But it's all, they want to get your mind. That's the thing. To control you, it starts with the mind.
It's evidently it's all what the repetition of the words they say. Oh, people are not supposed to know. Like, wait a minute, what I'm not supposed to know? That I could just mention. I mean, we create that by listening to what they're telling us.
Exactly what media tells you, or who, some president or some congressman. I mean, what a joke. And like you said, there are employees. Government funded. No, taxpayer funded. There's no government funded anything.
What do you like to do for a hobby? What's your hobby?
My hobbies. I guess chess is one of my hobbies.
Well,
it's like I had to talk about detox. Like, it becomes addicting. Yeah, no, I mean, I love reading. I love watching movies. I love, like I said, traveling, getting out. Going into nature, exploring new places. Good food. I mean, there's like just living life. I don't have I'm not someone that has like my set hobbies. I used to love playing soccer with my friends, but haven't, because I moved to Florida. Haven't been able to play in a while.
man, soccer is in Brazilians' blood.
Oh my
I mean,
gosh! It's
tell
so
me
fun.
when and what time
Right?
I'll show up.
Oh yeah, I love it. And I wasn't even growing up playing soccer. I just started playing with some friends, and we started doing it every day for years. It was so fun.
I did on the 94 was the World Cup was here in Los Angeles. And I tried to do a warm up and say, hey, we're going to play football. But I forgot that here they don't call football soccer. They say football is American football. And as I tried to warm up, I used my foot to kick the ball, and then everybody grabbed it off the hands. I said, no. You gotta use your feet. It's like, no, we're
so
playing
funny.
football. I said, no, foot. Then I realized it is a difference. Oh, soccer. Oh, no, we don't like soccer. I said, no.
So funny.
And Sean, and I always ask this question to a lot of people. And let's see who is Sean Stone? In your own words.
John Stone is a fictional character. It's interesting you asked that, because to me it's like the name is a fiction, and it truly is. It's it's given to you by your parents. There's energy, there's resonance to that name, but who I am is so much bigger and deeper and more ancient than who Sean is. It's like this is a character I'm playing in a stage of this world, of this lifetime, right? And so, to answer, who I am, it would be like going to the essence, which is more like I am love. That's more the essence of who I am, because who I am is many, many words. It could take, a lifetime to explore and experience.
And we go as a human in evolution for sure. And
Very
we go
nice.
and I think with all this traveling that you have and the experience, and I have no doubt that the new project that you're about to get done, and it will get done, I think will be something that us from outside, we need people like you that have the guts to face our system that we have today, that unfortunately it looks like they're winning, but inside, in our belief, they're not. And we need more people like you to send good message out there, real message, to give people good positivity in their life, spirituality in their life, to have that impact for them also to start doing a much better job on their belief and their evolution for us to have a better planet ahead of us, for sure. And man, I can't believe it here. I'm talking to Sean Stone.
it's great having
and
you
it's
here.
like, man, and I learned so much. And I hope everyone can go and we're going to dig in and all the information that you provide us and the projects that you did, which I saw a lot of them. And I'll bring him. He's going to be back for sure.
Absolutely.
I want
Looking
see
forward to it.
when he gets this one, that'll be awesome. Man, thank you very much.
Thank you, Sean.
It was nice to meet you.
It's good to meet you guys.
First time to see you in person. And also, I'm going to look at the movie you did with my brother.
Yeah, that I can't wait. I'm going home and I'm going to...
For sure. Sean, thank you very, very much. And I'm looking forward to see you soon. And we're going to talk a lot about a lot of other things next time too.
Thanks again.
Got it.
Thank you, guys. No gear required. Have this special guest today, Sean. And again, thank you, sir.
No Gi Required would like to thank our generous sponsors for their support. The Art of Marcel Santos Fine Art Gallery. Trilogy. Luta Gear. Authority Auto. ToeHold. Adam Sherman Film. Valley Hot Yoga Wellness Center. Valley Strong Hauling and Junk Removal. And Triangle Kimonos.